What's up, mortgage coach community, sales boomerang community? It's Todd Duncan. Welcome to the Tuesday takeover makeover. I guess that's what we're calling it today. And I'm delighted that I get a chance to hang out with you guys and also talk about today's market and give you, I think, some real insight on what a takeover makeover might look like in today's market. And so I thought what I would do is, first of all, welcome you all. And we're going to do a series over the next about 10 weeks or so. I'm going to come on 2 more times after today. And we're going to be talking about this sneak peek into elite performance. And I thought I'd set the stage before I bring on our guest by telling you that I really feel honored that I get to lead this year 33 top mortgage professionals. Last year, this group made $91 million in sales commissions. And this group really is dialing it in. And regardless of what's happening in the marketplace, they are winning, and they're winning through value, they're winning through advice, and they're winning through relationship. So I thought what I would do is, first of all, tell you the reason why we're doing a 10-week run is because it's leading up to our Sales Mastery anniversary. There's 3 big anniversaries happening right now. One is the 20th year of high trust selling, which is still selling. I feel really great about that book. It is also the 25th year anniversary of Mortgage Coach. And I feel really great that Dave's been able to do that, his tribe and the impact that he is making. And then it is the 30th anniversary of Sales Mastery. I like to tell everybody that when I came up with the idea for Sales Mastery in 1992, the goal was simply to have a gathering community place where loan officers that wanted to become great could come and hang out and listen to loan officers that were doing it and interact and have shares and kind of walk away with a playbook. And 30 years later, we're still hosting this event. And it's a blessing because it would be impossible without communities like you guys that want to learn, grow, and get better. And so just hats off to the Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang group. And, you guys are obviously paving the way for exciting things and trying to stay ahead of the market. And I think doing it well. I want to just give you a little bit of a background into what that sneak peek really looks like. And I thought I'd bring up this slide. These are interest rates since 1965 on 30-year fixed rate home loans. And you'll notice that in the 60s, it was 7.5%. And then if you go all the way to the right, you can see where we are today. I wanted to point out that when I began my mortgage career, this is where I was. So I began in probably close to the worst time you could ever begin in. And I ended at a level that is about just a notch under 10%, 11 and a half years later. You're over here right now. And I put that in perspective because I think that it's true that you guys get to define how you will be in a market. I think that no matter what the market is, good or bad, cycle, bullish, bearish, up, down, people buy and sell. People buy and sell in any single market, and it will always come down to mindset first, and then it will come down to value. And then it will come down to relationship, and that will be nurtured by follow-up. And so when you think about, what was it like to sell 18.5% government loans in 1981? What was it like to do business when prime was 22%? Some of you that are in part of this community don't even really know what it was like prior to maybe 3 years ago. And that's not a bad thing. It's just like you're new to the industry and you came in at a really blessed time. And if you didn't have the skills of relationship management and building value for your partners, then you grew up on refis. And it might be shocking today to know that they're gone, except for some cash outs here and there. And yet today's purchase market is going to set up another refi market in 4 or 5 years, whenever that happens, because, loans are funny today at 6, 6.25, 6.5%, 5 7/8. I mean, it's all over the map, right? So the mindset is everything. And so when I chose positivity in what was the market that the news is referring to right now as the worst market in the last century, except for the Great Depression, it was the market I was in. And it didn't really matter because I wanted to be a voice of hope. I wanted to be a voice of positivity. I wanted attitude to rule. And I wanted to do it in a way that I thought it would be impactful for people. So I had, many of you know the story, but I had a button made up, and the button was worn on my jacket. And the button was about, I am not going to fear. I'm not going to fear the market. And I'll tell you the words in just a moment, but I had this attitude that if everybody's afraid that the sky is falling, All I have to do is say it's not falling. And then I need to follow that with action. And I need to decide that I'm going to turn fear into power. And if you look at the definition of fear with just the acronym FEAR, it usually refers to false experiences appearing real. Like call reluctance is a negative fear, false experiences. The call may not go like I want it to, and right then and there we get paralyzed. But it's also true that FEAR could stand for feeling excited and ready, right? It's still fear, but I'm going to be motivated by that fear to do things that are unique and different. You'll see up here, it says the absence of belief is the creation of limits. And I believe that. I believe that if you don't believe at high level that you can do well in any market, I believe you will create self-imposed limits. I also believe that limits begin when you stop believing. So one of the healthy perspectives to have as we get into today's conversation is the thought of positivity, the thought of, you know what? The good news is this is a clarifying moment in the industry. The good news is there's people that are not going to be able to stay in the origination business. The sad news is we're going through a contraction and layoffs do hurt, and watching companies close down does hurt. But at the same time, you as an individual can decide your future, and you can decide that by attitude followed with skill. So here's what my button said. It said, rumor has it we're in a recession, and I simply am not going to participate. And I have that button today. We get them made up. Our guest today had a button made up for herself, and she wears it. And it's absolutely amazing to see how people open up to this idea of positivity, right? And so I want you to be a positive influence in the marketplace. And today we're going to deal with 3 topics that I think are going to be very interesting to you. The first topic is going to be the art and science of nurturing your network as a full-time discipline. Since we're talking about elite performance, you should know that we have our elite group building their business so that 6 to 7 out of every 10 fundings are coming from their nurtured network. These would be closed loan customers and referral partners within that group, not realtors and not builders. We're still doing business with those people, but we're adding this dimension to it. The second thing we're going to do is how do you radically make over the value you're bringing to your referral partners? And our guest has an amazing story, a story of innovation, a story of courage, a story of speed. And what she's doing today with her referral partners is absolutely mind-blowing. So we're going to get into that. And then we're going to talk about a taste of focus. Our guest is going to be speaking about focus and sales mastery for 30 minutes. Today, we get to hang out and maybe spend 6 to 7 or 8 minutes on that topic. So we're going to go ahead and end the slide share for this period in time. And I want to bring in our guest elite member, a dear friend of mine. Her name is Sharla Ellis. She resides in Utah. She works for Fairway, and she is one of the most positive people on the planet. Hey, Sharla.
Hello. How are you? Thank you. I'm doing great.
Yeah, of course. You can tell, right?
Here's my button.
There's your button. Put it up so everybody can see. Yeah, there we go. Rumor has it we're in a recession, and I'm not participating.
That's right.
So let me just start then with positivity before we get into any of the 3 topics. How do you wake up every day? And why are you so enthusiastically and infectiously positive?
Oh, man. Well, I have a secret that some of you know, but my maiden name is Jolly. And my dad always said, if I have a name like that, I cannot be grumpy. So my dad taught at a university and his nickname was Jolly. Everybody called him Jolly. So we're a happy family, very optimistic. I wake up each day seeing the opportunity, grateful for it. In my prayers, I say, I'm thankful for all the opportunities. And it's cute because my daughter, when she says the prayer, she will say that. So my kids are happy. We've just tried to be happy because, hey, there could be crashes all around us. There could be this, that, or the other, but you are in charge of your own attitude and you can make or break it. So I've tried to instill that in my kids like my dad did me.
Yeah, it's so powerful. My grandmother did the same thing with me. I read a book called Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. And I could have gone to my mom and dad, but they just were not infectiously positive. My dad was kind of neutral, great guy. My mom was a little bit hot and cold. But my grandmother was the attitude force in our family. And she bought me this book, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. And it was kind of the first indoctrination I had to belief, in the idea that if you're optimistic, you will sell more. If you're working on, borrowers today and you want to convert at a higher level and you want people to be drawn to you and attracted to you, people are attracted to optimism, not stupid, off the charts. Yeah. Like, insensitive positivity that you can feel when it's fake, but real positivity. And one of the quotes I remember from that book is, there's very little difference, and I'll make this about loan officers. There's very little difference between loan officers that succeed and loan officers that don't. But the little difference makes the big difference. The little difference is attitude, and the big difference is whether it's positive or not. So there you have it. That was a quote from this book that is 40 years old today, but I learned positivity. And of course, one of my favorite pastors, Chuck Swindoll, says that, 90% of what happens to us, we can't control, but we can control the response we have to all 90%. And he just says, man, that's the way to do it. So you got to look for the positive in everything. And we're going to do that during our 45 minutes here as we kick into this. So thank you, Miss Jolly, for joining. So let's talk about nurturing, because you're $100 million producer plus. You've gone through some very cool transformations. We met a long time ago, and you had your first transformation back then. And then I think in 2021, we had a masterclass, and you were impacted then. And you're in this nurturing cycle right now that's super exciting. So why don't you tell everybody about what is the art and what is the science from your perspective in nurturing your network?
Thank you. Yeah. So like many who are listening today, they have a database of tried and true and trusted clients. And that's really where a lot of my business has come over the years. But in this masterclass, and I've been doing this 1,000 years, so you'd think I would know. But in 2021, in your masterclass, something hit home. A lot of things hit home. It was a fabulous class, one of my favorites ever. And you had said that you've got this database of borrowers you should love on and manage them and treat them like gold. If you want to have borrowers for life, you need to speak with them once in their lifetime. You need to speak them within their lifetime. And of course, we're so busy that you just send out these e-blasts, et cetera, et cetera. I have this powerful gold mine in my database, but I wasn't loving on them. I wasn't managing. Mortgages under management was not a thought. So you laid out this powerful step-by-step of how to nurture your network, which is a fabulous phrase, and nurture and bring them along, because there are people in your database who know who you need to know. So part of my focus, which I'm going to share in Sales Mastery, was slowing down to speed up. I just needed to figure out what I wanted to do, how I could make these changes. And so part of this, there's twofold to my database. I decided I want to get more out of it. And you promised us that we could. So I invented two paths, and I think this is very smart. You've got the people who are closing, and I can take advantage of that and start working with them 7 days after, 30 days after, reaching out at 6 months, 90 days, 1 year, just keeping that going with somebody that we've just done a fabulous job for. So I scripted that out, looked at what that looked like for me. How was I going to impact them? And we put that into play as our team. The other part is the database that I haven't phoned for years and years. Do I pick up the phone and say, hello, it's Sharla. Sorry, I want to get to know you again. So we came back with some scripting and reaching out to these borrowers and ways that we could do it. And it may seem hard. Oh, I've never talked with them, but you just start somewhere. So there is this wonderful calendar that I got. Celebrate every day. You can see what day it is. Is it National Client Appreciation Day? Is it National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day? I love that. I send out my recipe. Is it tax time? Do we need to check in to see if their payment is okay, if they got their tax bill, if they had any questions? There's just tons of times that you can reach out to these borrowers. Right now, with the market being so frenzied, we're reaching out to past borrowers and just offering my services to consult and communicate with them about the housing, the predictions, the interest rates. And by the way, here's a $400 off closing cost certificate that you can give to you or someone that you know. So we're reaching out to our database. We're finding excuses. We're giving gifts at 1-year anniversaries, 2-year anniversaries. So we've just got it going and cooking. And we've assigned to, I had a person specific to that, wasn't quite doing the job. So we divvied out that to our whole team. Somebody takes over the 7 and the 30-day calls. Somebody else does the 6-month and the 1 year. Somebody else calls the past database, and we are killing it on referrals coming in the door. People know who we need to know. And I'm not going with the real estate agents. We are able then to refer those to our agents. But for example, someone says, hey, my daughter is looking for a loan. Yes, will you talk to her? Or I work with so-and-so, and he calls us. Or someone tells us that they're wanting to purchase an investment property. You're just finding all these things by actually making the calls. It's so novice. I mean, why didn't I think about it years ago? But we're putting it into practice. One other thought is that we're starting to tier our database, and you talked about the influencers.
Yeah.
So who are my influencers? Well, I've got a good example. I've done about 12 to 15 loans for this family. One of the
Wait,
sons
12,
I've done.
12 to 15.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I just finished one, but a few months ago, and they love us and we do a good job. But a few months ago, he said, hey, we just had a baby. Guess what we named the baby? And I said, what? They named the baby Ellis. So they are one of my influencers. Figure out who your influencers are and you'll market to them differently. But Todd, your suggestion is so sound. There is a gold mine in our database. People know who we need to know.
Yeah.
May I say one more thing?
Yeah, it's here. Yeah.
We got together as a team because I felt if I was going to ask for business after the closing, I had to give it my all during the process. So I had the right to ask for referrals. So with our team, we said, how good do we want to be? And everybody on board said we want to be the best. So we beefed up our process so we could get 5-star surveys so that after we have the right to ask for business. And that's an expected result from this is business coming in the door. But an unexpected result is we're doing such good 5-star work. Our 7-day call asks about their experience. And if they haven't returned a survey, then we ask them to return the survey. And we're getting more and more surveys in, and our return rate is almost 60% with 5 stars or 4.75 every now and again, harsh graders. And little old Sharla has bumped up in experience.com to first in the company for 5-star reviews. So we carry that proud title, just knowing that we did a fabulous job and we have the right to ask for business after. So that's a good moral of this story.
100. Yeah, 100%. And I think I want to just piggyback on a couple things. So number one in your company means that you are number one out of just shy of 3,000 loan officers, right?
Yes, who are on Experience. Some are on Podium.
Yeah.
But there's about that on experience.com. Yes. Isn't that fun?
Yeah, but here's what I want. I was on a webinar with Ryan Hills recently, and he asked me, he said, can you just pause for a moment? Because I was talking about 5-star and I was talking about net promoter scores, and I use net promoter score as a kind of a foundational derivative. And he said, could you just remind a loan officer what that actually means? Because I think in the 5-star world, we understand what that means, right? But in the net promoter score world, which is the science of influence, what we need to know is that you, out of a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very, very top notch and 9 being right below it. If we 5-starred that, it would be 4.5 would be a 9. And anything above that would be between a 9 and a 10. When you have a 9 or a 10 net promoter score, okay, you have influencers that are 10 times more influential than someone who is an 8, 7, 6, or 5. Now,
Exactly.
that doesn't mean that the 8, 7, 6, or 5 didn't have a good experience. It's just at the 9 or 10 level, 4.5 stars or above, you're going to get much more engaged referrals. So that's very, very important. God bless you if you're lower than a 5 on the net promoter score, because that's only a 50. And when you start to get to 49, then you have people all the way down to 0 and negative. There's negative net promoter scores. They'll go out of their way to make sure nobody uses you. And I just want to ask you, a big deal for everybody, especially today, is conversion, right? And it's like, if we understand that we get to have a conversation with a borrower and we have a nurturing umbrella in our business, how much better, easier, and faster are those referrals in terms of converting and saying, yes, we're going to use you? Can you just talk about that to everybody? Because I think that's you can double your conversion rate by really focusing on your experience that you're delivering. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, I had an experience yesterday with a customer, straightforward W-2 borrower. And those are the easy ones that there could be a ton of lenders all over that. But he came to me from one of my sources and he said, our call went well. You've taught me how to talk less, sell more. That's hard. I hope you're going to speak on that at Mastery. So there's that art. But when we got done, I said, do you have any questions? And he said, the 2 things that I was hoping for came true. And he said, the first one is that this person referred me to you and said you were the best. And I agree with that. And I feel very comfortable with you. The second is that the interest rates are exciting. And he said, I'm not going to stay up and have nightmares anymore. Things have softened and I'm ready to go. And that call was about 15 minutes and I converted that borrower, but the conversion was done with the initial referral to Sharla. She's wonderful. She'll take care of you. They come in with that and half the battle's won. So is that what you're speaking about?
Yeah. And so I just want to say to everybody that the experience that every borrower has with you will determine whether they're part of your conversion team or not. And I want you to be thinking about this. You can fly solo, you can get a borrower, you can be great at the conversation, but the conversion rate is not going to be as high because there's not a pre-conversion taking place. What we need to know about nurturing your network is your network converts the buyer partially, if not almost wholly, before you have a conversation with them. So if you want to watch conversion go up, you have to intentionally, we're going to build this at Mastery. You have to intentionally build more and more of your monthly volume has to be coming from less and less of the traditional partners. That doesn't mean if I have a $20 million a year real estate agent referral business that I don't do that anymore. I'm not saying that at all. I do that and I do more of it, but I do more of it by going this way and getting those referrals and getting those borrowers and collaborating back with an agent potentially or a builder. And I think that's the beauty of having these kinds of conversations. And I want you guys to pay close attention to this because when you are nurturing your network, you're creating cash flow for your real estate agents. I mean, if you really, really think about it, if I were to bring a realtor 8 deals a year each, and they made $10,000 aside, okay, that's $80,000. All right. If I were to do that for 10 agents, and I began to look at that factor, you know, if I can give them 8 referrals and they make $80,000, and you know, do that for 5 years, you need to do the math on that. That's, you know, $400,000. That's a lot of money. And so, you know, we have a gentleman that Sharla knows, and most of you know, Wally, that last year was close to referring almost $2.5 million in commissions back to real estate agents. And then the quid pro quo is when you work this whole kind of nurture program that is based on the circle of cash flow, you also bring new clients to financial planners and appraisers and title people. And I mean, it's just crazy. And so it's like, oh, and I need to say one more thing. We've just completed surveys with 6,100 loan officers. The number one regret that loan officers have is not nurturing their network. Number one.
Oh yeah. So let me say a couple of things. Don't wait. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Right.
Just get yourself some sort of a plan, start making the calls. Business is down for some, start making the calls. And then the second thing that we did is we just all of a sudden don't get a 5-star survey right from the very first phone call all the way through 5, 6, 7 times throughout our process. We're reminding them that we're going to work very hard so that we, at the end of the time, you're going to get a survey and we want the highest marks. And we would like to ask you to refer to us. And we have that embedded in our scripts so that we are all along planting the seed of what we want and what we anticipate and what we expect. So at the end of the day, there's no surprises. We even on our wrap-up call prior to closing say, how did we do? Give them a chance to tell if we messed up or something. But again, our team is just, we're so mindful of that. How did we do? You did great. And would you give us a 5? Yes, we will. Or a 5-star? Yes, we will. So we plant that along the way.
Yeah.
So we can be assured of a higher return. So
100%. Yeah. So guys, the financial modeling, there's previous things that I've done with Dave on the financial modeling, and you guys can go to the YouTube playlist and check some of that stuff out. But I will just tell you that millions of dollars are at stake, and peace of mind is at stake. And if you're not nurturing your network, you're making one of the biggest mistakes ever in your life as a sales professional. You cannot be somebody's lender for life if you don't communicate with them during their life, period. And you will not get referrals if you don't stay in touch. So great. Okay. Perfect. I think Robert said that we could put some questions in chat if we wanted to, guys. And so we'll see if we have time to answer those. Did you have one more thing, Sharla?
No.
Okay. So let's move to the second question, because guys, this is one of the biggest innovations that I think any of us could ever witness. And it's not that the idea is new, but the way that Sharla is delivering it is new, and it will excite you to no end. So can you talk a little bit about how you have reinvented the value proposition for your key realtor referral partners? This is exciting.
You bet. And it almost happened just by chance. So I was encouraged the first of this year, now that COVID was relaxed a little bit, to have a real estate event. I hadn't had one for years. And so I mustered up the courage. What am I going to say? Who would come? All those good things. And we decided to have a 2022 housing summit. We had a venue. We had some speakers. Todd, you were a speaker. Dan Habib flew in. We just wanted to make it very special. I spoke for a moment, and then Sarah Middleton spoke. And so we did this. We had, and it was really fun to go through our lists, 200, 300 agents. And those that attended, it was a little snowstorm that morning, we got about 55 out. So we had a very good turnout, but I loved speaking, connecting with these agents. That was crazy wonderful. So at the event that I was preparing my part of it, I was going for 30 or 40 minutes on how to thrive in a challenging market, because I've done that over the years that I've done, and I felt that I wanted to suggest that. And as I was preparing for that the week before, I thought, hey, 40 minutes is just not enough time to impart my wisdom. What can I do? And the night before, I decided that I would announce lunch and learns. I've never done these before. I've always wanted to do these. And I could impart my wisdom for all my years as a top producer to my agents and keep it going. So I created a flyer myself. It was almost too late to have my marketing people do it. So just the night before, I created a flyer that could go in the bags. I decided that we'd hold it in 2 weeks. And we do it on condos because I love condos, and there were some changes coming out and I could make it fun. We did it with the Mexican thing. Let's talk about condos, right? And have Mexican lunch and come. So at this event, we had a bunch of realtors sign up. They were really interested in it. And then I had to decide, where am I going to hold it? Well, there's a boardroom next door on the 4th floor. You go down the hall, past the bathrooms. I've used that before. I could do that again. Or upstairs, the title company has a conference room. Okay, I could do that. My little conference room fits about 8 or 10. Yeah, we could juggle Mexican food on our laps and have it there, but I had 55 come. I want 55 to come. Where could I have this? So one night I was leaving my office and I looked at the cubicle area and I said, what if we took the cubicles down and created a learning center in my office. Now, my husband has been a contractor and he is the wind beneath my wings. And so I went home and I said, what if? And he said, that's great, let's do it. I had about, 8-9 days until the event. And so we transformed our office. He took the cubicles down, we painted the walls. He made me tables, they're beautiful. We ordered chairs, we got some artwork. We had our designer come in, help us with a few little furniture. We put the TV up and it's a beautiful space. You've seen it. It's better than the cubicles, but we built it so that we could hold, we bought 35 chairs and we've had in that room 45 come. So we can have, and then we've done it twice a month since March. And so March, April, May, June, July. April, I did 4, 1 every week, but we built it and they came. And so it was exciting. We have them in our house. Come to my house, let's connect. Of course, it's better than any of those other suggestions, but it was phenomenal to build a learning center in our office. And it's just beautiful. The realtors are coming to my office and seeing me as an expert. I'm selling without being salesy. Isn't that awesome? And these are topics that will help. Some months were over the top with being full. Others were not quite so full, but it's the connection, the fun invitation. We're learning each time how to do it better, how to do it differently. But if I waited until it was perfect, I would never have done it. We learn, we pivot, but we went for it. And it is so exciting. I'm in my element. I love presenting. I love having people there. I love building relationships. And I go, every time I do this, I go home floating on a cloud. It's amazing.
If you can imagine Sharla floating more in a cloud than she's floating today, just talking about this idea. Let me tell you that as Sharla's coach, I was blown away with speed to action. And I want to tell everybody that's watching that whatever you are thinking about doing, don't overthink it to the point where it adds weeks and maybe even months before you taking action. Today is an environment of innovation, and innovation requires testing, right? And so we know fundamentally that if we can help real estate agents win, we then win, right? It's the giver spirit. Yeah. We also know that one of the greatest efficiencies is instead of sharing one idea 20 times with 20 agents, it's much more efficient for you to share that one idea with all 20 at a time. Now, let's talk about how many agents are in Sharla's market versus how many she's pouring into. And I believe the number is thousands are in your market, and what you pour into is maybe 30 every time you bring them into your office. And so I have a giver's mindset. I don't worry about giving the same idea to 20 people, and they don't worry about the 19 that just got the idea. They're just thinking, wow, Sharla's pouring into me. Sharla's helping me figure out how to do real estate better. And I just got to tell you right now that if you want to get to a point where you have blockbuster months, I remember you texting me, Sharla, you texted me one quarter that you could not believe your deposit for the quarter and your total income. And I think it was over $500,000, and you were implementing at scale for 3 months. And then I got a text from you 3 months ago that you had funded $17 million, I think in the month of April, maybe it was May. And you're the LO. You don't have a whole team of LOs. You are the LO, and you're funding $15 million a month. And you have agents coming by and sitting down and just listening to you educate.
Yes. And then after we're speaking, the next thing we'll talk about is the power of focus. I've cleared my plate so that I can build relationships. This is what I do. I speak with my agents. I speak with my borrowers every day. I don't analyze tax returns, even though I'm very good at it. I've cleared my plate from the red activities so that I can be selling and building relationships and prospecting the whole time. So I've learned how to follow up. Now that I have all these agents in my office, what do I do to keep that momentum? So we call, we speak, and the loans and the referrals are coming. We're widening our net, and it's a beautiful thing. And I'm in my happy spot.
Okay, so hang on just a sec. Let's throw the deck back up. I'm going to show you something that Sharla gave to everybody at our Elite in Cabo, July of 2021. She did this little kind of focus thing. And hang on just a sec. There we go. So this is the beautiful piece of acrylic art that she gave everybody that was an Elite. And she did an 8-minute presentation on how she literally within 1 calendar year went from trying to do everything to only doing the 1 or 2 things. And she went through a transformational process that has created what she refers to as her Top Gun training manual. And she has literally inside of 12 months gone from doing everything to doing only a couple of things. And she's gone from a 40-hour work week, even down to a 30-hour work week in a crazy market. And I have this on my desk because I am absolutely maniacal about the idea of we can get so much more done, you guys. Every loan officer that's part of these communities, Sales Boomerang, Mortgage Coach, obviously part of the Duncan Group and High Trust, every single person can do what Sharla did. And the goal in life is to keep paring back and pruning and getting rid of the things that either A, are not producing top dollar revenue for you as the leader of your team and in sales and profitability compensation, or anything that you admittedly are not good at that you know needs to be done, but it needs to be done by somebody who, for them, it is their gift. And when we start thinking about this 80-20 focus, it is absolutely life-changing. So I'm going to take the deck down. I just wanted you to see this. It's on my desk every day, so I can be reminded from a dear friend and student in that order how important focus is. So why don't you take us down?
I have mine too. Isn't that great?
Yeah,
80,
right.
20. Just
Take us.
reminds me.
I'm going to put that in my merchandising offer at Sales Mastery. We're going to sell those. Okay.
Okay.
We're going to have thousands of them. We're going to sell them.
I love it. Well, so this was again at the masterclass, February of 2021. You spoke of the 80-20 rule. Of course, we've heard it before.
Yeah.
But my mind went to a couple of things. You said if we can figure this out, it has everything to do with the number of zeros we make. I remember specifically, and I'm like, I'm working very hard. I want to have a few more zeros after my income. But I was back on, how do I do it? How do I spend 80% of my time selling? Because I am in the weeds. I am a hamster on wheels. I am just going. I have to wake up at 3:30 in the morning. I go to bed at night. I am just full. My days are full. And as I listen to you, you know, the picture of that of Karate Kid came to mind. Your focus needs more focus. So after the masterclass, I went to my hotel room and I just camped there. We were in Las Vegas. I could have gone and had fun, but I camped in my room and I put together a plan of how I could take things off me, put them on my team, not to dump, but like you say, whose sweet spot is this? Who can I give this to? Who can I give that to that could do it maybe better than I or as good as I could so that I could free myself? You taught me long ago to do a not to do list. So I said, what are my time sucks? What are my real time constraints? What do I need to take off me that I can train somebody else to do? And I mapped out our conveyor belt. I mapped out that. I said, I could get rid of this. I could get rid of this. I could get rid of this. Ooh, I do that so well. Maybe I'll keep it. No, I can train somebody. I mean, it was a sacrifice because I just want to do it all, right? Well, then came the start of our Top Gun manual and Top Gun Academy. I love that because Miramar is all about the Navy. They were losing missiles and they decided, hey, it's probably equipment failure. This is in the 1960s. And instead they decided that it was their staff, that they needed additional training. So I'm like, hey, we don't want to lose missiles. Let's train our staff. So I put together my Top Gun manual a training. Isn't this wonderful?
Look
And
at that thing.
isn't that so?
And by the way,
so
this is
precious.
all way before Top Gun Maverick came out.
Oh yeah. But and honestly, we got the excitement of Top Gun because who doesn't want to learn when you have
Right,
Top Gun
right.
focus instead of some boring thing? We met as a team. I had mapped out role clarity. So everybody knew what I wanted them to learn to do. Who does what? Who does this? Well, you don't know how to do that. Okay, let's train. And we trained. We were training an hour or 2 or 3, blocking that out specifically for even to learn and grow. And this manual is all about the Sharla Ellis team, our systematic approach, and how we do what we do, how I envision it done so that we're all singing off the same page. That year unified us more than ever. It took us about a year. And honestly, some people didn't want to give up. Oh, I just did those disclosures, Sharla, because so-and-so can't do them. Well, okay, but it's not getting us to our goals. Let's teach them how to do those disclosures the way you want them to. And then that's off you. So I had to train my team, but I pulled things off me. I pulled things off my top people. I just evened it out so that we had capacity so that I could spend my time selling and that everybody could do what they needed to do so we could be most efficient. Took us a minute to do. We slowed down to speed up, but man, oh man, we did 143 million, up from my 10-year trek of 1 million flat. I did 143 million by being more efficient, and I was outselling. Isn't that exciting?
It's so exciting. And you were always, well, not always, but you for a lot of years were crushing it right at that $90-100 million a year mark. And you had a whole new vision of what was possible. And I think what's interesting is your business today is further ahead than any time in your career, and your peace of mind and happiness is larger and greater than I believe any time I've known you. And I've known you for over 2 decades.
And I'm getting more sleep.
And you're
I don't wake up at 3:30 in the morning anymore. I'm never doing that again, ever.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too, though, is I want everybody, no matter where you are in your career path, what Sharla is just sharing with you is an optimal decision that you make very, very early on. It doesn't mean that you can execute it, 6 months into the business or a year into the business. But when you start to look at that your team is designed to support your dream. And your dream, a big dream, requires not necessarily a big team, but it requires a great team. And to the degree that your team is inefficient, you have to hire to cover the inefficiency. So what Sharla did is said, I don't want to double my staff. I want to be twice as efficient. So then I can be twice as efficient without increasing my fixed overhead. And then if I want to comp for variable, I can do that based on, our 5-star percentages and the number of referrals we get, this, that, and the other thing. But I got to tell you right now, when you go into Sharla's office and you sit there, you feel 2 things. You feel, and it's a paradox, you feel energy and you feel sanctity. And I mean that. You can feel the energy, but it's like calm. It's calm energy. And I walk around the office and I watch how you took this Top Gun theme, and everybody on your team has a call signal.
That's right.
So walk through how that happened. And then could you touch on role clarity?
Yes. Oh, yeah. So everybody has a call sign. Again, it's on the Top Gun Academy theme. And it's just fun. One girl called Sunshine. One guy chose his name Goose. The other takes care of us. She's Mother Alicia. Tiffany is from New Jersey, so she's Jersey. So it's just fun. It's just a fun environment. We have that on our nameplates on our office, their name and then their call sign. But the theme is just Top Gun Academy is the best of the best. And I've always loved that movie too. So we have some Top Gun posters in our break room and things, but we're the best. They are the best of best. We are the best of the best. And we've wanted to be for a long time. We have a positive reputation, but it's our team who decided How good do Sharla wants to be so good? How good do you all want to be? And they want to be as good as I want to be. So the unity is there, but it's fun. It's not drudgery. I've chosen people who I've had good teams and not so good teams over the years, some that backbite, etc. But our rules and our values are that we support each other. We have a team vision, and there's two true passions. And if I had pages and pages in a vision for a long time. Now I simplified it several years ago. We have two things we worry about. Number one, we create an amazing experience for our customer, and we continue to unify our team. You take care of those things and everything else falls into place. So everybody remembers that. It's what we're working toward. Now on role clarity, if someone wasn't quite doing their job, another person would step in and do it. And you know how that goes. Somebody works a little harder, et cetera, et cetera. When I decided to take things off me and just even out the workflow so everybody was at full capacity, I had to design what everybody did so that it's in writing. That's the way I know. I'm a little bit of a C, a D, and my disc is interesting, but I have a lot of C in me. So I like everything to be right there. We started out, we've moved and adjusted the columns. Everybody knows what their role is. They know what they do. They know who backs them up, and they know what the standard is to do it. You got 2 hours to return emails, and who does it and who's the backup. Okay, you've got 24 hours to do this. So we made it real clear who does what. And then if we have a challenge or a problem, we analyze it and determine, did it work well? Okay, was somebody out? Was somebody, the backup not right there? What happened? Do we need to change it? And we've tweaked it. So it's a little bit fluid, but it's pretty set and it's worked. We've now been practicing all this year and it works. And our process is wonderful. And we're getting these 5-star reviews and happy clients who then refer us. It's all working.
It's beautiful too. And I think, the confusion and chaos that most branch managers have, and I'm not saying that they wake up to try to create that. I think it's a natural kind of drift. And, we end up getting off course, not by drifting in a day, but by drifting daily. Right. And we get to this point where if there is no role clarity, you have to think about like a production. You have to think about like if you had for example, if you had a rock band, I mean, everybody in that band knows what they're supposed to say or play the moment they're supposed to say or play it, and they practice it to no end. Does that mean they don't go off script every once in a while? Probably not. But for the most of that type of analogy, everybody knows what they're saying. If you look at any play in New York City, if you look at Hamilton or Wizard or any of these plays, it's not like they don't have role clarity. They have role clarity. They have script clarity. They know what to say, when to say it. They know when to pause because the audience is going to laugh. They know when to slow down because they want to deepen the emotion. Yeah. It's all choreographed. And I think what most mortgage people don't do is choreograph their branch. And I think that when you choreograph your branch, everybody from the start to the end knows what they do, when they do it, how they do it, and then and only then can we do it at 5-star. And so the clarity piece is really important because I can say this about most top producers. Most top producers that I would want to emulate, having been one, have calm chaos. It doesn't mean that things aren't tense every once in a while, but it's calm. We know what we're doing. It's not panicked. Every once in a while you get a little bit of the ember that says, got something there, but for the most part, it's calm and it's organized and it's consistent. And I think the big problem that most mortgage people have is they kind of do what's urgent. They do what is getting the most of their attention or what is being requested as the most important thing they respond to immediately. And we got to step by step, day by day, got to break away from that and create this kind of role clarity. And, Sharla, you've done a brilliant job, on that, I think. And when we were with you in Cabo, it was fairly amazing because I'll just say this to everybody. I gave all 30 people in Elite the same assignment. I wanted you to come to Cabo and I wanted you to talk about one thing. And I gave you 8 minutes to talk about it. and you had to prove that it earned you an extra $250,000 a year. So that was the marching order. And then it was a competition and we gamified it. So not only did Sharla's presentation on 80/20 really resonate with everybody, but her peers voted her presentation the best presentation out of all 30 people. And for me, that is more important for everybody in the Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang community to know than just what even Sharla shared today. Her peers voted her as the most prolific topic and idea that the whole group heard from that entire week. So Sharla, what do you think made that happen? What do you, I mean, you know, you're there, you have a ton of humility. You're a gargantuan producer. You've worked really hard and for a lot of years to get to where you are. And then all of a sudden in this season of your career, you have these breakthroughs and your peers vote you best presentation. What do you think resonated with them that we haven't talked about?
Well, what resonated, I believe, with them and what resonated with me are these words, that's unacceptable. And you also have quoted saying, life will give you what you tolerate. And listen, I wish I could say I learned this early in my career, but how many years have I been doing this? And it just, the aha moment came to me in that masterclass when you said, you told this story of that's unacceptable, but you asked these questions. What is unacceptable in your life and your business, and how can you change it? And I think that gave me permission to know I can change things. I don't have to be the hamster on wheels. I don't have to be this. I can change it. You gave me freedom to change it. And I think people right now are in the weeds, hamster on wheels, maybe not know what to do, maybe don't have that clear direction. But the question, what is unacceptable in your life, whether it's your weight, your health, your this, your that, or your relationships, or whatever, what is unacceptable in your business? And guess what? What can you do to change it? Because if you don't change it, no change, no change. And so everybody can control their future. Isn't that a beautiful thing? I think that's what resonates here.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And, you know, it's so beautiful for you guys all to embrace the idea that you can control a lot of your own chaos. And sadly, some of you need to put your hand up and say your name and that you're addicted to chaos. And you need to figure that out, because at the end of the day, I believe, and I want to say this very clearly, I believe that the dialed in mortgage professional that understands, you know, what Sharla's talked about in this hour, what obviously we teach, and what Dave and Alex and teams profess. I have to tell you that there is a better way. You know, when we talk about irrefutable and we talk about the irrefutable principles, irrefutable principle number one is everything can be improved. And so the key is to not try to improve everything by 1%. The key is to improve one thing by 70 or 80%. And that one thing has to be in your sweet spot. One of the things that a lot of people don't know is if you look at any successful basketball team, whether they're college or pro, every player that is on the starting team and the backups have the 3 spots on the court that they are most likely to make baskets from. And so the defense and offense is run by getting those people to the spots where they have the greatest chance of sinking the basket. And the spot number 1 is an 80%. The spot number 2 is a 70%. The spot number 3 is a 60. Does it happen on every shot? No, but these players move and their defense and offense is run to get people to where they need to be to take the shot and have the best odds of winning. And that's what Sharla's done. And that's what our elite group does. That's what we do with you at Sales Mastery this year as we celebrate 30 years. And you can be, have, and do anything you want in this business. I profess to you that when you decide that you want to make a change, and you want to make a change that you make on your own before it's like mandated that you make it, right? And I'm talking mandated. Like we coach people in life management too. I mean, marriages can get on the rocks if you don't run the business the right way. And if the business takes over, your kids can have regret and anger towards you because you haven't been balanced in the way that you approach things. And, we all make mistakes. And the key to what we're doing as a company and by extension, Dave and Mortgage Coach and the community is let's do this right. Let's do it purposefully. Let's do it intentionally. And if you do that, you can be happy and wealthy and joyful and in shape. And Sharla, you're amazing to me. No, you are amazing to me. And you have done an absolutely beautiful job just sharing with people what's possible. And I know that you have a heart to share, and the way you did it today was just unbelievable. I can't wait to have you at Mastery because I know 30 minutes on just the focus topic is going to be off the grid. So very much thanks to you, and stay on for just a sec. We're going to go ahead and I want to show you two slides that are important to understand as we kind of roll into the end of this. The first thing I want to make sure of is that everybody understands that Mortgage Coach has a special price for Sales Mastery. We'll have 2,000 mortgage originators at Palm Desert, California at the Marriott Desert Springs Resort. If you want to participate and come and be part of that community, there's 33 speakers, 6 keynote speakers, 3.5 days of celebration. And I want to look you guys in the eyes and tell you again, we could not have done an event for 30 years if it were not for people like you that want to commit to learning, growing, and getting better. And so come join us at Mastery. It's going to be beautiful. It's October 11th through the 14th, back where we started it with only, listen to this, in 1992, I had 291 originators attend. And today over 80,000 originators have been part of the Mastery experience, and millions of homeowners are impacted because of that every single year. So just go to toddduncan.com, drop down to Sales Mastery, hit buy my ticket, enter Dave's Savage code, SM Savage, and you will save $500 off the retail ticket price. So that's that. The other thing we're doing is we're doing a kind of a on-demand mandatory webinar that we put together because a lot of our CEOs and corporate clients are just having us, can you please help our teams figure out right now how to get their purchase business going? So you want to come join us on August 17th. I'm going to be doing a brand new presentation on how to get 10 to 15 loans a month now within 60 days of this webinar. And the reason we're doing it on the 17th is we want to give everybody 60 days or so between then and Mastery, so that when they come to Mastery, they've got bigger pipelines and everything makes sense. And so you can check that out online and social as well. So I want to thank all of you guys, and we'll go ahead and stop the screen share. And Sharla, I want to come back to you and tell you how much I love you and appreciate you. No, and admire you for all that you've done, and your heart for sharing today has been off the grid. Share with everybody your social coordinates if people want to get in touch with you. What's the best way on social?
You bet. Well, in fact, I think I'm at Sharla Ellis Mortgages, but you can always reach me at www.sharlaellis.com or sharla@sharlaellis.com. That's super. Please reach out. I'm so happy to help. I want you to live your best life, and I know you can.
Yeah. Awesome. And my deep thanks to Dave. It's kind of fun to watch this guy sitting in the Sales Mastery audience 25 years ago, and being an advisor, working with financial planners and accountants early in his origination career, and then coming up with the Mortgage Coach solution and the total cost analysis and kind of what that does to put you really in an advice-centric business. It's been a blast to watch him and this company celebrate 25 years as well. And so we'll be doing a shout out at Sales Mastery on that as well. And I just want to thank you guys. I mean, I've been teaching now since April of 1992. I wake up every day passionate about one question: who's next? Who's going to hear the magic? Who's going to go and do something with it? And I hope just hanging out for an hour this week has given you some inspiration to go and do things differently, and to be grateful for the skills you have, but to be really proud of the fact that you're spending most of your time doing the things that you are gifted to do and that you are excited to do and that bring you joy in doing it. And when you do what you love and the people you do it with see your love, they're going to love you back. And one of the greatest ways they do that is in loyalty. And loyalty is a two-way street. If you want loyalty, You have to be loyal, which is why we wanted to encourage you today to make sure you stay in touch with your clients, nurture that network, incubate them, become their friend, and they will unleash a firestorm of introductions for you, and you'll never have to worry really about prospecting again. Okay. So from me to you, hats to you, and thanks for joining today. Sharla, again, thank you for your input.
Thank you.
And we look forward to being back with you guys again in a couple of Tuesdays, and take care. Have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the week. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharla.